Welcome to the December edition of the Hornet Spotlight. And again, as we always do, we want to encourage the stakeholders here in Beech Grove High School, all the parents and patrons and the people who are interested in our high school, to make sure that you mark your calendar, as December is a very busy month here at the high school. It is a huge month for the performing arts. I know that Mr. Bradford, Mr. Wynn have several performances scheduled, not only for the high school, but all around the schools at Beech Grove. So make sure you look at your calendars, the mailing, the things that will be scrolled on these screens with regard to the activities in the high school, middle school, South Grove and Central, and all the other schools with regard to the holiday season. It is also, as we're talking here in late November now, it is also the prime time for the winter sports to kick off. We've had, I think everything has started now with the exception of boys basketball, and that will start this week. So, and some of those teams are off to an outstanding start. And we look forward to a great winter sports season with all of the different squads. So please be sure to visit the school early and often. I know our student athletes appreciate that. I know our student performers appreciate that. And it's great entertainment, and it's very reasonable entertainment when you look around the city and all the different things going on. Today we are also going to honor our alumnus of the month for the month of December 2010, our last one for the year 2010. And he comes to us from the class of 1989. And it is Major Daniel Baker. He is, like I say, he is a graduate of the class of 1989. Several people have been recognized from that class. I think we counted, 4 or 5 prior to today. So it's obviously a very good class. We looked at the people who have been recognized from that class, and Daniel's in some good company here. So Major Baker, congratulations.
Thanks very much,
on your selection by the Renaissance Committee. 1989. Stellar group, apparently. What was the big thing at Beech Grove High School back in the late 80s? What kinds of things do you recall from the school at that time?
Spending a lot of time with friends. After school, we get together, go to Burger King, we exercise, we study, and then spend a lot of time just trying to figure out what we wanted to do next.
And were you on a particular track when you went through here? Did you participate in a college prep curriculum, or were you in a general curriculum, or do you
I did the general curriculum. I worked with Mr. Folkman, who was the history teacher, German teacher, with young people for future involvement. Played tennis here for 3 years with Coach Ron Wilson, and I wanted to go to IUPUI to play tennis at the collegiate level.
Okay, and when you left here, is that what happened?
Yeah, I went right to IUPUI, got a scholarship. Played 4 years at the varsity level, singles and doubles for IUPUI.
And you graduated from IUPUI in 93 then, would that be right?
93, yes sir.
93. And what was your area major there at IUPUI?
Criminal justice with a minor in history.
Criminal justice with a minor in history. And IUPUI at that time was pretty much a commuter college, and that was pretty much it at that time, right?
It was a small community college, and has grown over the years, I've seen.
It's grown quite a bit. You graduated from there in 93, criminal justice major. So what did you do with your major?
I decided I wanted to become a Marine Corps officer, and that comes back to what I did in Beech Grove. As a tennis player, I was working volunteering after I graduated with Mrs. Owens. She asked me to come back and give back to the community. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm in school, I'm working, I'm playing tennis myself. How do I have time to give back? She convinced me to do it. Spent 3 years working here at the high school as a volunteer coach. And I asked her my second year doing it, why are we doing this? And she said, to make a difference. That's what life is about, Dan, is to do something not for yourself, but to help others. And so when I was going through college, I wanted to do a career that would lead me to help others, not myself. And that's why I chose the Marine Corps.
And you've been in the Marines since 1993?
Yes, sir.
So you're obviously a career man.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about the Marine Corps. Tell us about your career. I know you're not a recruiter, but this would be your chance. Tell us about the things that have been very positive in your career as a Marine Corps officer.
I joined the Corps because it's supposed to be the toughest service. I wanted to challenge myself both mentally and physically. To become a Marine Corps officer, 2,500 people applied, and they only accepted 112. Of the 112 that got accepted and went to officer candidate school, 87 graduated from my class. So you had to be the top not only in physical conditioning, but you had to be articulate, you had to be clear, you had to be willing to lead young men and women. And then from that point, I went to the basic school. The big thing about the Marine Corps to be an officer is they don't want you to say, well, I want to be an infantry officer, or tanker, or pilot. They want you to be a Marine. And that's what sold me about the organization. It was not to serve yourself, hey, I want to get a job so that I can become something when I get out of the military. It's to serve the organization. And then for the last 17 years, I've served wherever the Marine Corps has asked me to serve. I went from to North Carolina to an artillery unit. I was the first communication officer in the regiment to take command. I did that for a year. Went to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and led a reserve communication company. Then to Okinawa, Japan, and Korea to lead communication planning for many of the humanitarian disasters that happened in the Pacific. White House for 3 years, and now I'm in Norfolk, Virginia, as a lead communication planner for the Marine Corps.
Okay, and what does that title mean? What does that mean you do on a daily basis?
Communication planning. I'm responsible for all computers, telephones, audio, visual, things that we see the students in Beech Grove doing today. I'm responsible for, but you just magnify it by, thousands of people. I will build a network for 20,000 people in the woods or in the desert, so that they can maintain email capability, internet capability, and telephones.
Okay, now you got through it real quickly there when you were talking about your tours of duty, but you mentioned the White House. And we had John McLeod on a year ago, and he spent a lot of time with the president and his, for lack of a better term, entourage, dealing with communications with them. And it sounds like from talking prior to going on air that you were involved in some of that too. So that, I'm a real fan of presidential history and presidential politics and all that, so the people are going to have to bear with me a little bit. But for my benefit, tell us a little bit about what you did do in the White House and with the president, and if you would expand on that just a little bit.
Every 3 years, the Marine Corps nominates one communication officer to be a primary communication officer for the president. A highly selective interview process. 24 Marine officers, just like me, went in for the interview process, and I was very fortunate to get the opportunity to get the job. I worked with both President Bush and President Obama, a year and a half for both presidents, so I got to see how the Republican Party and the Democratic Party do the White House. My primary job was the president is going to go, like President Obama is going to be in Kokomo tomorrow. I would take a team 7 days out, and I would lead everything for the White House on the military side. I would set up the airport, from the airport, the motorcade route that the president would take, all the different events that he would be in. I would do it down to how many steps he would take from the moment he met somebody until he went in to do a speech, how long the speech was going to be, and then back. It was a fabulous opportunity. Travel to 44 countries.
And that is a ton of organization,
Yes,
right?
sir.
How many staff members did you have to help you with that type of project?
Anywhere, depending upon how big the site was. My smallest was 7 people, and that was for a trip to Elkhart, Indiana. My largest was when I ran the inauguration. I had 300 and some folks working for me day to day for 4.5 months, every day.
And that was to plan the organization or the communications for the inauguration?
Yes, sir.
And are you working with the TV people as well? And
for the inauguration.
Commercial TV, I mean?
Everybody. Every time the president speaks, there's a guy like me that's getting that message out to the people. We're responsible for working with the television cameras, the angles, the lighting, the sound. We're also responsible for working with Secret Service to make sure that where the president goes, he's protected, but at the same time they have the capability to communicate. There's many different requirements for them. For the inauguration, we had to work with Capitol Hill, obviously to work with the Joint Congressional Committee on Inauguration Ceremonies to make sure we met all their requirements. The outgoing staff, President Bush, the incoming staff, President-elect Obama, to meet each one of their requirements.
Okay, and you said you started at 4.5 months out, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at that point in time, you really didn't know who we were going to be inaugurating. So, were you just doing basic general plans at that time, or how did you know exactly what was going to be needed or wanted until actually there was a president-elect?
Inaugurals are pretty much enriched in constitutional history.
Okay.
Everyone's done the same way. So I spent some time doing some research how the last 4 or 5 have gone so that I have an idea. So when I go brief major bosses and the president-elect, I could have an idea of what he's going to want to do, balance it based upon the history of the previous inaugurations.
Okay, so you met with President-elect Obama.
Yes, sir.
And I assume President-elect Biden.
Yes, sir.
And that had to be pretty exciting. Did you kind of feet touch the ground there, or how was that that's just the job?
It was just a job to serve the office of the president. You know, one of the big things that I asked, my family always asked, how could you work for Republican or Democrat? And I always told them I work for the office. It's the greatest honor to work for the President of the United States. It's not an 8 to 4 job. It's 24 hours a day for 4 years. And my wife had troubles at times understanding. I'd get home less than 30 minutes from being home. I got a call, leave in 2 hours to go across the country or to another country to set up something for the president. We work for the president. It's the greatest thing to see a president talk with world leaders and articulate what is best for America. It's fun.
Yeah, so you not only did that was going to be my next question, you do the preliminary work and do all the planning and coordination, but then you also get to hang back for the actual completion of the process.
I was part of a team that once the president arrives, I went everywhere the president did. I was the guy in charge on the ground for military requirements when the president was at a location, from the time Air Force One landed, wheels down, till Air Force One departed, wheels up. Whether it was an hour or 4 days, I was the guy in charge of all military assets.
Okay, and that was a 3-year tour of duty.
660 days deployed.
Okay, now amongst all your duties, is that the one that you felt was the most challenging and the one you enjoyed the most, or is there something else you've done that can top that?
I don't think there's anything that can top serving with 2 different presidents. I worked on Christmas morning a few years ago, the tsunami that hit Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
I was the lead planner that got woke up Christmas morning, pulled away from my family to start doing that work, and that took me a little over a month to get that up and running. That's something that I've done in my career, again, helping others. That's kind of the point of being a Marine officer, is that it's not about our time, it's about making other people better.
Well, it certainly sounds like it's been time served to the American people. You mentioned your family 2 or 3 times in that discussion there, and we met Jesse's your niece?
My niece.
And she got a nice little surprise this morning.
Today's her 16th birthday.
Today's her 16th birthday. Jesse Laker is his niece, and he brought her a nice bouquet of flowers this afternoon for her birthday. So she was surprised and glad to see her Uncle Dan. Tell us a little bit about the rest of your family. I know you told me over the phone you'd married a Beech Grove grad, and so we'll let you talk about your family a little bit.
I was very fortunate. Class of 1990 was Michelle McNulty. The first moment I laid eyes on her, I knew that she was the one for me. I wrote in her junior book that someday I was going to marry her, and I never stopped courting her, if that's the correct word to use, and finally convinced her to marry me after I joined the Marine Corps. I've been married for 16 years. I have 2 beautiful children, twins, Colin and Ashley, and they're the reason I exist.
And you're back. We're in obviously the week of Thanksgiving, so you're back visiting family and friends, and and we already had a nice surprise for Jesse, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy your time off. It sounds like you work a hectic schedule. How much longer you plan on making the Marines a career?
As long as they let me
As long
stay.
as
I've had such a great run, doing great things, meeting great people. The athletic director here when I was a student, Bill Bain, said something to me that has been the goals that I use as my life. He told me one day, shoot for the heavens and hopefully you'll catch a star. And I have used that with everything I've done with my life to help get me to where I am today. I told my wife when I was in high school that, that I hope to someday work at the office of the president, and I did. I told her I wanted to make a difference to people, and I have. Beech Grove's done a lot to make me have my goals and give to other people.
I think that's you had your goals and you were focused. As we kind of wind down here, is there anything you hope to do in the future? And you have, you said you were going to stay as long as they would allow you. What kinds of things do you hope to continue to accomplish, or what are your goals for the future, professionally and personally?
Professionally, I pick up Lieutenant Colonel in January. I hope the Marine Corps gives me the honor to command a battalion, which would be leading about 900 people. Retire from the Marine Corps, come back to Indiana, and run for Congress. I want to be a congressman for the people of Indiana. I want to continue to work for them. That's my long-term goal professionally. That was my professional goal. Personal goal, spend as much time as I can with my family. Make sure my children do well in high school, go to college, and that they continue to do as well as they have.
And I got a feeling we'll be hearing from Congressman Baker one of these days. Seems like he makes any goal he sets for himself, he's met. It has been certainly our pleasure to reintroduce you to Major Daniel Baker from the class of 1989, selected by the Renaissance Committee as our Alumnus of the Month. Major Baker, I'd like to present you with this plaque as a token of our appreciation and recognition for participating with us today. It is always amazing to me. This is I believe it's the 18th year of the Hall of Fame, and we just, there are no shortage of graduates of this high school who have gone on and done exceedingly well. And another great example here today, and it's been a real pleasure having you, and hopefully you enjoyed being here as much as we enjoyed having you, because this was sure fun for me. So again, make sure you come out to high school. A lot of neat things going on in December. And you just met a neat alum, again, in Major Daniel Baker, class of 1989. Have a great holiday season. We'll be back with the January 2011 version of the Hornet Spotlight before long. So have a great holiday, and we'll see you then. Good morning, and we are here today with Katie Wolf and Ms. Schneider, and we're going to do a couple things here. Number one, on behalf of Brian Denbo, we are going to present Katie Wolf with the Edwards Jones Investment Scholar Athlete of the Month Award for the month of November in 2010. This is Katie's third time to win this award. We've only been doing it for 3 years, and she's won each year. This year as a cheerleader. I believe all 3 times have been as a cheerleader. In the past, she's been a cheerleader who has earned All-American status with the Cheer Association. This year in the Indiana Crossroads Conference, she was named Academic All-Conference as a cheerleader. And we're very proud to make this presentation. Mr. Denbo is not able to be here today, so we'll present Katie with her medal to recognize her recognition as the Scholar Athlete of the Month. Katie, we're going to talk to Ms. Schneider in a minute about the new program. Let's talk about you a little bit. You're also active on the tennis team.
Yes.
So you're a very active athlete. You also participate in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. If I remember right, your grade point average is like 4.25
Yep.
on a 4-point scale, so you're doing real well. Let me ask you a quick question. I promised I wouldn't, but I'm going to. How do you balance all those activities? Very strong academic load, very strong academic record, and the list of things that you participate is as long as my arm. How do you budget your time, and what's the secret to that?
Well, it's difficult, but I like to stay busy, and I feel like if I have something to do, then I'm productive, and I like to make use of every second. So when I'm at my sports, I like to just concentrate on those, and when I'm at school, I like to just think about school.
As we're talking about school, you're a senior. Have you got any plans for next fall?
Yes.
I know you like to teach math.
Yes.
What do you want to do?
Next fall, I want to go to U of I and major in math and minor in education, so I can teach math at a high school level.
There you go. And a lot of high school kids will be lucky to have you. Congratulations on your award. You were, as a senior, you were part of a kind of a new program, a new look at cheerleading, and we have Ms. Snyder, the cheerleading coach, and she's going to, Ms. Snyder, I want you to just talk about this past year and some of the differences. We have a competitive cheerleading squad now. They are a team. They have wins and losses like everyone else. So just tell us, this is new to people at Beech Grove and in the high school, so now's the time for you to talk about your program and what you're looking for and what you want from your student athletes as they come in, what can be expected of them. So if someone's watching and say, hey, I think I would be interested in doing something like that, they'll know what they're getting into.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations to Katie. We're very proud of Katie, and all of the girls for that matter. This year we have taken on several different things related to cheerleading that are new to Beech Grove. The first of which is a competitive cheerleading squad. This year, our competitive cheerleading squad was 17 of our 18 girls total. We have one young lady, Hannah Foster, who's very involved with the band and the marching band, and she is a drum major and was not able to compete with us this year, but we're hoping to have her on board next year. The competitive cheerleading squad travels around to different parts of Indiana and competes against different cheerleading squads that are similar in size. It is done by classes, so we compete in the Class 3A division. We competed at 2 schools this year at 2 different competitions. The first was the Mount Vernon Invitational at Mount Vernon High School, Fortville. We placed second to a very strong New Palestine cheerleading squad, and that is a group of young ladies who have been competing for at least 10 years, probably longer than that, and we were a very respectable second. We also competed at the Indiana Cheer Association Regional this year, which is a state qualifier. We missed qualifying for state in our first competitive year by only 11 points. So we were very proud of our girls. As far as someone who would be interested in doing cheerleading, they need to be able to give us the time commitment. These girls practice not only to be competitive cheerleaders, but also game day cheerleaders. So we are preparing for football games, basketball games, and also competitions. And this year is the first year that Beech Grove cheerleaders are recognized as a sport within the school, and they are a 2-sport group of girls, and our varsity girls receive 2 letters, one for football and one for basketball, which is very much deserved and very much timely. It's something that has been, I think, progressing along, and with the workload that they've taken on, it's very much deserved. So we would need a time commitment, athletic ability, of course. We do a lot of stunting, jumping. We're in the weight room, we do jump training, we run. They're a very athletic group of girls, so you definitely have to have some athletic ability, and grades are very important to myself and my assistant coach, Coach Wolf, so we do keep on top of the girls pretty well with their grades.
Let me ask you a follow-up question on that. We've talked about it's competitive, and we had a very good competitive season. What kinds of things are you judged on? How does the competition work? Is it all subjective? Is there certain criteria that the girls have to meet? Do they look at them as a group, individuals? Just tell us a little bit about how they develop a score and how they determine who wins the game.
Okay.
How do they determine that?
It's out of 300 points, and what happens is it is a 2-minute and 30-second routine. of which a minute 45 can be dance. So usually within the dance portion, you're not only dancing, but you're also tumbling, and there's some stunts involved. And then the other minute 15 has to be cheer. And within the cheer, you can stunt, you can tumble. They're looking for a mix of athletic ability, that you have the strong skills in stunting and tumbling, that you also have the spirit, because these girls are first cheerleaders, and so it's important that they can get the crowd involved, that they can be spirited, but also that they're showing off their athletic ability. It's really a great way for the girls to showcase themselves as athletes and not just as girls on the sidelines.
There you go. Again, we'd like to congratulate Coach Snyder and Katie and the girls on a great initial season of competitive cheerleading. I'm sure with the energy that Coach Snyder and her coaching staff puts together and the athleticism that the girls have displayed, that it will continue to be a strong program and a real standout program overall in the athletic department. Katie, you're a senior. This is your first year with it. What kinds of differences did you notice?
Well, we've had a lot of fun this year, and we just finished football season, and so now we're looking forward to basketball season, and we really get along well, and all the girls have a lot of fun together, so we're just really looking forward to spending some more time together in basketball season.
And that pretty much does it. Again, Katie Wolf, the Edward Jones Investment Scholar Athlete of the Month for the month of November, and Ms. Snyder, new cheerleader sponsor, cheerleader coach, edit that out, Mr. Showalter. And we're very excited to have this new program, and if you did not catch it this year, be sure to catch the cheerleading bandwagon next fall when they get going again in 2010-11. Have a great day.